1, 2, 3.
This is The Ticket High School Saturday.
Well done, well done, well done.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Let's go 3-0, and let's come sit down and drink some Gatorade.
Live from the Koppel Chevrolet GMC studio, here is your host, Nick Sainert.
Good morning. Happy Saturday, folks. This is the High School Saturday Show. With you, as always, Nick Sainert. It's going to be a little bit of a different look of a show today. It's going to be a brief High School Saturday. It'll be about 30 minutes, if less, probably less, actually, as at 8:30 this morning, so just in 28 minutes exactly, we will get you guys rolling with the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. The guys will be live in studio today, so make sure that if you are not on the Sartor Heyman Jewelers video stream, that you get there. Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, you can see my face now here on the High School Saturday, and then here in a little bit, all the rest of the guys will be on there as well. You can interact with the show that way. As always, 464-5685 Honda of Lincoln Hotline, Sartor Heyman text line. Both those are open for you all day long. If things aren't going well with the game, rant on there, interact with us. We love interacting with you guys and talking to you guys that way. It makes our lives a lot more entertaining, a lot more fun, and easier for both of us if we're able to get some stuff out of the way. So let's go ahead and start here. Alrighty, so as always, we'll be joined by our normal guests of Joe Davis of Ambition Electric and Luke Mullen of the Lincoln Journal-Star at Nebraska Preps. He's going to be talking about Lincoln Southeast as lost last night in a kind of a disappointing game. He was out in Gretna for the Zane Flores versus Wilhelm Reddick matchup. So unfortunately, I don't know if we're having some audio problems. If you guys cannot hear me, let me know on the text line, please, or on the Sartor Heyman Jewelers video stream. We're having some audio problems, but everything looks to be okay on my end. So let me know if for some reason you guys cannot hear me, and I'll try to fix it as I go along here. But as I was saying, so Wilhelm Reddick, the Lincoln Southeast, they lose to Gretna last night, and it's a little tricky there because they played well last week. But they did not play well last night. They lost 42-14. Zane Flores had a couple touchdowns. We'll talk to Luke about that. Lincoln Southeast just struggled to move the football. And after 3 quarters, it was 27-7 Gretna on top of Lincoln Southeast. Number 6, Gretna ended up coming away with the win, like I said, 42-14. All right, I want to touch on this before we get to any kind of football. Class A softball, they had their state tournament yesterday, and Lincoln Southwest, congratulations to the Silverhawks. They won their fourth state title, and it's kind of impressive because they were playing Lincoln East in the state title and the Class A state title, and Hastings. They were down 5-1 after the first inning, and then the Bats came alive, and they ended up running away with this one 16-7. So congrats to Lincoln Southwest coach Mark Watt on the state title. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead, some of the sounds and sights from the game that I called last night between Pius and Norris. I hear that we're having some audio difficulties on the actual FM dial, so I apologize there. I will try to get this fixed, but as of right now, everybody that you can hear on the stream, that's good, on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, so make sure you head over there. Here are some of the sights and sounds from Norris's win over Pius last night. It'll be Landgren behind Hausman in the pistol formation. Ozenbaugh, Trevor Ozenbaugh, the senior wide receiver, will be on the near side. Hausman will pitch it to Landgren. He's going to barrel over a Thunderbolt defender. Did he score? He did. Touchdown, Norris. From 6 yards out, Ben Landgren, the senior running back, scores his first touchdown on the year. Ozenbaugh and Consbrook on the near side. Snap back. Hausman fakes, looking left. He has his receiver wide open, touchdown on the score. That is Colton Wallstrom. The senior wideout scores his 4th touchdown of the year, and just like that, in 2 plays, it's a Pius X fumble, turns it over, gives it to the Titans, and on the first play from 22 yards out, Cooper Hausman finds his senior wideout, Colton Wallstrom, for the score. 3 minutes and 5 seconds left in the first half. Play action. Pesci looks to the right side, has an open receiver. Are they going to say he crossed the goal line? He did. Touchdown. Pius X. Tyrus Pesci connects to Sammy Manzito on a 14-yard touchdown pass to put the Thunderbolts on the board with 2 minutes and 59 seconds left in the first half. 27-8, Titans in front of the Thunderbolts. Hausman in the pistol. Macklin lined up behind him. They send Consbrook in motion from near side to far side. He'll get the jet sweep on the left. He has an opening towards the edge. He has a big hole past the 40-yard line, past the 35. Jukes back up the middle of the field, still going. Past the 30, past the 25, still going. Gets a block from Blake Macklin. 10-5, and Consbrook will score on a 52-yard jet sweep play to put the Titans in front 33-8. And man, folks, when I say that's an athletic play, that's an athletic play. 6 seconds left on the play clock. Norris sprints up to the line. 3 running backs in the backfield once again. Hausman fakes the handoff, running out to the left side. He's trying to find the corner of the end zone, and he will. Touchdown, Cooper Hausman, and the Norris Titans extend their lead 41-22. Well, the storyline in this one was a tale of 2 halves. Norris came out lights out in the first half, playing good football on both sides of the field, scored 35 points in the first half alone to take a commanding 35-8 lead at the break. However, Pius, give them credit. They responded well in the second half. They scored, made it somewhat of a game towards the later stages. However, that ill-advised pass in the south end zone for Tyrus Pesci, throwing it into triple covered, just ill-advised pass. And Norris came down with an interception, and then Cooper Hausman was able to run it in from a yard out. That'll do it from Norris High School. Once again, your final score, Norris Titans, they improve to 4-4 on the year with a 43-22 win over Pius X. All right, so like I said on the call last night, 43-22, Norris beats Pius. They improve to 4-4 on the year. They get back to 500 in a case where I'll ask Joe here in a couple minutes, in a situation where Norris is really playing for their playoff spot right now. They have a game against Waverly coming up to finish up their season, and that's going to be a crucial game. It's going to be crucial. And the crazy thing about last night also, it was my first time being able to check out Norris in person. And it was my second time seeing Pius because we did a game earlier this year with Pius and North Star that Pius actually rolled the Gators in that one. But really, this time around, Pius just couldn't get anything going on offense. And it really showed last night how 2 turnovers, both fumbles, both within their own 30-yard line, giving the Titans plus field position there. It really showed how that can just turn the course of a game. Because when you're sitting there at halftime, like I've said before, and I kind of talked about it last weekend when Omaha North beat Pius X, you can't expect Pius's offense to put up 35 points in a first half. And so that's just where it really gets messy for the Bolts. If they find themselves down big early on in the ball game, then they find it very difficult to come back and find any sort of success offensively, just because their offense is centered around their junior running back, Matt Bowie, who can really run the ball. He runs extremely hard. He's a lot of fun to watch. They pair him along with Marcus Dustin and Julian Castillo. However, it just didn't work. Norris shut it down, and give credit to the Titans. We are now joined on the Honda of Lincoln hotline, 464-5685 by Joe Davis. Joe, how's it going, man?
Good morning, Nick. It's not bad. How are you today?
I'm not bad. I've warmed up. I want to publicly thank you again for bringing some hot chocolate up to me last night. We were out in the elements, and it was a chilly one last night.
It was cold. I think we just wanted you to have the true fan experience out there.
Hey, whatever happens. I will say, yeah, I have to thank a couple of the fans because they they brought some hot chocolate up to me a couple times. So I appreciate that, Joe. Joe, I guess let's do this right off the bat. Just a general question, since we don't have a ton of time today. What was just your general takeaway from last night?
More of the same of the how the rest of the season's gone. We come out fired up and we strike first and we keep striking. And then all of a sudden, the guys kind of got, in my opinion, a little lackadaisical and came out second half flat. It took a little while for them to get back to full speed, it looked like to me. But it was kind of you kind of seen a little bit of everything last night, Nick. You've seen the carelessness with the ball here and there. You've seen some dominance with the ball, and you've seen a lot of our speed, both sides of the ball. And all in all, it was a good game. It was a good win. But that's still stuff that's got to get cleaned up for next week.
Yeah, you mentioned that you kind of saw everything, and Norris coming out a little bit flat in that second half, allowing Pius to score 14 unanswered. They found it themselves in a 35-22 ball game there at the start of the fourth quarter, which is a little closer than a lot of people would have expected. Were you kind of holding on to the edge of your seat there when it got trimmed to a 13-point lead? And it seemed like Pius had some of the momentum.
I'll be honest, when we went in at halftime 35-8, I was like, it's not over yet.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that can happen in the next half of play. And Pius came out firing on all cylinders and started hitting their weapon. Manzuto, he's a big target, and he's quick. So we just finally got him contained here and there, but you got to contain him all the time.
Yeah, we're speaking to Joe Davis, as we do every Saturday here on the High School Saturday Show. Joe, I guess let's talk about Cooper Hausman, because he ran for a couple, he threw for one, for a couple scores, I should say. How good can Cooper Hausman be? He was pretty fun to watch. Like I said, it was my first time this season being able to see him in person. How good does Cooper Hausman need to be if Norris wants to make the postseason here?
He's going to have to be lights out Friday. Waverly's always tough. You've seen last night what Cooper can do when he's calm in the pocket and when he extends the plays with his legs. But he's got to clean up his bad decisions. I mean, he had a lot of iffy throws last night that could have gone the wrong way, and one of them did, I believe. So, but he's a heck of an athlete, and watching him is just get your blood going, because you never know what he's going to do.
Yeah, and that was kind of crazy. Another guy that I want to talk about is Blake Macklin. He is a lot of fun to watch. They like to give that either up the middle to him or even run like a speed option type of play towards the outside with him. And he actually had a couple big gains last night. Is that their featured back? Is Blake Macklin the guy, or do they kind of do a committee approach with him and Ben Landgren and then Cooper Hausman in the running mix as well?
Well, as the season's gone on, we've had injuries, and it's become a committee approach. You'll see 2 or 3, sometimes 4 different backs in there, depending on who's 100%, who's not. But last night was Macklin's biggest game, in my opinion. He came out and he wouldn't stop. His motor kept going, his legs kept turning, and you can see what happens when you give him time to find the hole.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, so let's say this. Going into, I believe you guys have Waverly this Friday. It's this Friday, correct?
That is correct.
So going into Waverly here, you guys are sitting at 4-4, and in the jumbled craziness that is Class B, where any team that goes to the postseason seems to have a chance. What is the message to the guys going into Friday?
Keep your heads up. You just went out and beat a Class A team. Came off a big win last week. Just don't slow down. You got to keep going. We've got to keep the momentum from the last 2 games, move forward through Waverly and then into the playoffs. There is no more chances to lose. You've already burned up all your losses for the season, so let's just run it until it's done.
Yeah, we're talking to Joe Davis here of Ambition Electric. We do every Saturday. Joe, let's one more here before we let you go. What's your prediction for Nebraska, Minnesota? How are we feeling about it?
I feel pretty good. I think Nebraska's defense is stout. As long as they keep to the grind this week, it's probably going to allow 17 points. But I think our offense is finally clicking a little bit. I think it's going to be a 42-17 victory.
Good. I think Husker fans can get behind that. Joe, I appreciate the time as always. Sorry it has to be a little bit shorter today, but we have other stuff going on, as you know and understand. And so I appreciate the time. Thanks again for the hot chocolate. I really stayed warm thanks to you, man.
You're welcome, Nick. Thanks for last night. You and Big Sky did a great job.
Oh, I appreciate that big time. That is Joe Davis talking to us as he does every Saturday. We'll be joined by Luke Mullen of Prep Extra here in a moment. However, I want to touch on this. Yeah, it was kind of a crazy night. We kind of had our first taste of fall football action in Lincoln as it was a chilly night. So thanks again to Joe and to a couple other Norris fans and some even Pius fans. Since I was sitting out on the bleachers, I appreciate them bringing some hot chocolate and all that good stuff for me on Friday. All right, now we'll be joined on the Honda Lincoln Hotline 464-5685 as we are every single week by Luke Mullen of Prep Extra. Also, I want to say this real quick. Send in your thoughts. We are having a couple shout outs from Jeremy on the text line. We'll get to those following Luke before we round out the show and get to the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show here around 8:30. So send those in. We'll shout those out after we get to Luke Mullen of Prep Extra of the Lincoln Journal-Star. Luke, how's it going, man? Are we staying warm after last night?
It's going good, Nick. You know, I'm not knocking the hospitality up at Gretna, but I didn't get any free hot chocolate, so you got some things figured out for yourself.
Yeah, I got very, very lucky. I don't know if that's just that small town Nebraska feel or vibe, but I really do appreciate it. So, Luke, I'll start here. You were out in Gretna covering Lincoln Southeast and Gretna, obviously. How good did Zane Flores look going up against the Knights defense last night?
Well, yeah, Flores, he's a guy that always impresses me. Just his arm strength is the number one thing that stands out. The ball just zips out of his hands, gets to those receivers pretty quick. But for the most part, I thought Southeast defense actually did a very good job of containing him. You know, the first half, they let up a couple, kind of 20, 30-yard passes, but just keeping everything in front of the end zone, trying to prevent the even bigger play, the big touchdown. And they were about 2 or 3 minutes away from going into halftime, just down 6-0. It was a pretty strong performance in the first half from Southeast against a really good quarterback in Flores, for sure.
Okay, let's talk about this real quick. Where does Zane rank in terms of quarterbacks in the state? Is he top 3, top 2? Is he in that tier with Noah Walters? Is that where we're putting? I know he's younger, but is that where we're putting Zane Flores?
Absolutely. He has to be 2 or 3. I'd say just behind Walters. You're looking at Johansson from Bell West, Stanger from Millard South, of course. Some of those guys, just with the immense physical skills, great athleticism that go out there and make plays every week. I think for Flores, you're kind of looking at him as really a pocket guy, not the most accurate kind of when he's out rolling, particularly to his left. So he has a little bit of a different skill set than some of those guys, but I mean, there's a reason why he's got some big Division I colleges looking at him. He definitely has the athletic ability to keep that going at the next level.
Let's go ahead and go to his counterpart Noah Walters then for a moment, because I know he had a big game along with Lincoln East as a whole. Passed 19 of 21 through the air, 346 yards, 5 touchdowns once again. Is that 6 games in a row now of 5 touchdowns for Noah?
It is, yeah. And I mean, that is just crazy. He's basically, just like going out there and doing it for fun at this point, Yeah, only 2 incompletions and 5 touchdown passes against any Class A opponent is pretty crazy. And definitely he's approaching some record territory with that touchdown pass streak. I don't know that NSAA keeps records for consecutive touchdown passes in a game, but I don't know how many quarterbacks have thrown 5 straight with the consistency he has.
Yeah, it's wild. And obviously it helps having guys like Malachi Coleman and Cooper Erickson alongside him and Hunter up in the backfield. But I guess, is looking ahead for the postseason, is it Lincoln East defense that is going to kind of be the story of whether or not they can make any noise in the postseason?
Well, yeah, definitely. You got that offense that is pretty much putting up 40 or more points every week. So, the question is going to be, are they in a shootout, that goes down to the wire, whoever scores last, or can the defense just give them a little cushion, enough room to maneuver, make life a little bit easier with their game plan too. So they have a lot of those good pieces on defense. I was really impressed with them holding Millard West to 10 points a couple of weeks ago. So they held Southeast to 10 points as well. They put in some really good performances. It's just kind of a question of consistency at this point, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Luke, couple more since we're a little short on time here. Is there any updates on recruiting across all sports? I know I saw Hastreiter from Pius committed. I've seen that a Lincoln Northeast baseball player committed to SEC. What can you give us on the lowdown of some new offers, some new just recruiting news around the state?
Yeah, so pretty nice commitment yesterday. Waverly's Trevor Brown, he committed to North Dakota State. I really like that fit. He's just a tremendous football player, 6'3", great size. He's always rushing the passer and making life crazy for defenses. And I think definitely North Dakota State, the winning tradition they have there, they'll find a good way to use him. You mentioned Sam Hastreiter. Him and his brother Jack, they're both going to be up there in the Dakotas playing college basketball, which is really cool for that family.
Yeah.
Really special week for them with both of them committing. And yeah, a couple baseball commits. Jake Sean Unger from Blair, he's going to Nebraska. A couple guys from around the Lincoln area committing too. And the big news for me was definitely Gage Stanger flipping from K-State to Nebraska. So
yeah, absolutely. That's some big news there. All right, last one here. What are some games looking ahead next week? I know Norris and Waverly's one of them. What are some games, even at some smaller classes, if you know any, that you're looking forward to next Thursday and Friday?
Yeah, so around Lincoln, it's two huge games for the two Lincoln teams that are going to be making the playoffs. You've got Lincoln East going on the road to prep. Definitely going to be Walter's toughest defense that he's faced. That's going to be a great challenge for him against the top-notch state winning caliber defense right there. And on the flip side, you got Southeast hosting Elkhorn South, which ended their season a year ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Really good. Yeah, really good, really talented team there. So both of those games going to be huge for playoff seeding and just to, kind of keep up a good level of performance going into the playoffs there in Class A. Class B, tight as always. I'm looking at Aurora Seward as a pretty big game for two of those teams kind of near our area. And C1 is a battle for Columbus. I really like Columbus Lakeview going up against 8-0 Columbus SCOTUS. And it's going to be really interesting. Some of these final week 9 games, there are so many teams just on the edge of the playoffs, fighting for their season. And that always produces some great matchups.
Yeah, Luke, I appreciate the time as always. Sorry we had to cut you short, but I appreciate the time. We'll talk to you next Saturday. Good stuff as always, man.
Sounds good. Thanks for chatting, Nick.
That is Luke Mullen of Prep Extra at the Lincoln Journal-Star. All right, we got about a minute and a half left before we get to the rest of the guys. Bring all those guys in, get you prepared for Nebraska and Minnesota. I want to read this from Jeremy on the text line. Our Bellevue West reporter, Rico, standing in the production studio, is going to like to hear this one. He says this, quote, now that the calendar is getting closer to November, the Bellevue West Thunderbirds started their annual migration to Lincoln in a roundabout way to Columbus. The Discoverers and the T-Birds were both 6-1 coming into the matchup with the A4 district title on the line. The result was never in doubt. The T-Bird offense was too much for Columbus to handle. It was the second consecutive game Bellevue West had over 600 yards of offense. Since the loss to Gage Stanger and Millard South, Bellevue West's new approach has been to play their best players both ways. This is a new approach for Michael Huffman coach teams. Kyrell Jordan, playing both wide receiver and DB, had his first interception and one nullified by a pass interference penalty. Auburn commit tight end Micah Riley has put his hand in the dirt on the defensive side of the ball at defensive end the last couple games. He provides a needed pressure presence off the edge to complement the D1 defensive tackles in the middle. The Wade McVay coached defense held the Discover offense to under 90 yards in the first half. The 2020 matchup of this game was a game into the third quarter. This year, it was over before the 5-minute mark in the first quarter. The 62-0 drumming had one blemish, a missed point after from their backup sophomore kicker Ian Shepard on their 9th attempt of the night. The T-Birds are flying high right at the correct time. He also adds, it's nice writing a Bellevue West recap without mentioning the on-schedule normal performance of the Wyoming recruit L.J. Richardson, who also had 127 yards and 4 touchdowns. So thanks again to Jeremy. I appreciate you giving us that Bellevue West lowdown. Rico's in the production studio right now, flexing his muscles. Rico needs to chill out, but he'll be all good. You'll be able to hear Rico's takes on Nebraska and maybe throw in some Bellevue West here shortly. He's shrugging up and down. Maybe. Thanks again to Joe Davis of Ambition Electric and Luke Mullen of Prep Extra at the Lincoln Journal-Star. We appreciate their time as always. And thank you for tuning in to my call last night of Norris and Pius and to the High School Saturday show today. Once again, here in just a few minutes, we will have the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show live from our studios. So tune in to the Sartor Heyman Jewelers video stream, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. See all the action going on here in the studios. That is all for me today. We will talk to you guys soon. Go Big Red. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good rest of your Saturday.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here